What's up, Ragin Nation? How y'all doing? My name is Alex Yu. You're watching the Ragin Ronin review. In this video, I want to talk about the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and specifically the villain. If you don't already know, Jamie Foxx has been cast as Electro, aka Maxwell Dillon, and Electro has some special abilities. His name suggests that it has something to do with electricity, and that is absolutely correct because he can manipulate electricity and he can also fly. But the one thing that really concerns me is his costume. He wears a green suit with yellow underwear with electric okay, his headgear, okay, his mask is in the shape of like lightning bolts. It's green and yellow and it kind of looks ridiculous, but that's how it looks in the comics. That is the way his character looks in the comic books. Now, this needs to be translated into live action. While the Spider-Man costume translates very well, I don't think this would translate very well or look cool or even normal at all in real life or in live action, in a live action film. So because of that, they're making a huge change to the costume, and Jamie Foxx said it himself that the costume isn't going to be yellow and green, it's going to be black. Now, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but it is going to be black. And black is a color that is, you know, you can't go wrong with it, okay? You can do a lot of things with it and it'll look sleek, it'll look dark, it'll look cool. You know, you can do a lot of things with it. But that is still a significant change from the original costume. Now, some things, like I said before, do not translate well from comic book or cartoon to live action. So some changes need to be made. However, this is a significant change and I'm just curious what comic book fans feel about this, because I'm open to accepting change. But not when it's a significant change that changes something that is so iconic. For example, Man of Steel. Zack Snyder directed, Christopher Nolan produced a Superman movie. Superman's no longer wearing red underwear. And I have a problem with that. I know the movie's going to turn out good, or at least I think so and hope so. But the fact that they made his entire suit blue with only his cape being red, I don't like that, because the classic costume for Superman had made him have red underwear. And that's the way I remember him, and that's the way I like him. Not because I like my men with red underwear. It's just that that's the way he looked in the comic books. Now, I understand that some things need to be changed, but I wanted them to keep that. Okay, now let's look at some other superheroes. Here's a character that looked good. Doc Ock. Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. Now, he looked really good. They didn't make any change to him at all, and he looked great. If they made changes compared to the comic book version, I didn't really notice it, but he looked good. Green Goblin looked like a Power Ranger, and how did I feel about that? I totally accepted it, just because Green Goblin in the comics is a goblin with where he looks like an elf, like a goblin elf, and that just wouldn't work in a live action world. But a lot of people were complaining that Green Goblin in Spider-Man 1 looked too much like a Power Ranger and he was just wearing a suit. So that's what it comes down to right now. How do you feel about the change? We don't know what it looks like. Let's look at some other characters. Let's say, for example, in the Avengers, Hawkeye went through a major change. He didn't look anything like what he did in the comics with that purple mask. Instead, they removed the mask and just cleaned up his costume, made it look more refined and more practical. And then, of course, also in the Avengers roster, you have Captain America. Now, how do you explain that? How do you explain that blue spangly outfit? Well, you can't really change it that significantly because Captain America's iconic symbol is, of course, the blue, the white, and the red, you know, the American flag. So what can they do to really fix that? Not a whole lot, but fans accepted it. And you know why fans accepted it? Is because all you needed to do was put in some subtle dialogue to justify it. For example, Agent Phil Coulson, he mentioned that he made some subtle changes to his outfit compared to his World War II version, and that's all they needed to do. And then Tony Stark made a couple cracks about it, but then those lines were actually pleasing for the fans. You know, it made us accept the costume. Because before the movie came out, I was thinking, how are they gonna pull this off? Because you have a guy running around in this outfit, which makes him look like an easy target. You know, he just completely stands out like a sore thumb. But it worked. Now all they gotta do is follow that exact same formula with Jamie Foxx's version of Electro with the costume being black. But it's not going to be that ridiculous looking costume that he wears in the comics. Now, nobody thinks that it's ridiculous looking when you're reading the comics because it's a comic book. It's supposed to be over the top. But we're talking live action now, and some things need to look a bit realistic. How do you guys feel about changes? I can't say anything until I see the costume myself, but as a preliminary opinion about this change, I want to know what the fans think about this. What do the Spider-Man fans think about casting Jamie Foxx and also having his entire costume being black? That is what I want to know. This, I find, is a very controversial issue because as time progresses, we are going to get more and more superhero movies because it is in right now. Nerdy pop culture and comic book movies is what makes a lot of money in the Hollywood box office world. And Disney Studios purchased the Marvel library because they knew it would make more money, and therefore more and more superhero movies are going to come out as we speak. But in the live action world, things need to be sold to be real. But of course, there's always that concern. Do they change things for realism? Or do they stay true to the comic book roots? Or do they just find something in between? Let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation, and also follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. If you want a Ragin Nation t-shirt, contact me at raginnation@gmail.com. And if you want us to win some prizes like this, and this, order one of these Ragin Nation All Access VIP passes. Limited edition of 100 units, individually numbered and signed by me. My name is Alex, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. Green Goblin in the comics is a goblin with like where he looks like an elf, like a goblin elf, and that just would